One final round here in the season. 2 races to decide a champion. 3 potential outcomes that can be found. And critically, it's Snetterton that will be the deciding factor here today. For Aaron De Battista with a 14-point championship lead over the likes of Mika Murcieka and 16 over Jake Samet, the goal is clear. 21 championship points seals the deal tonight. You just have to score them in any way you can to guarantee it. Otherwise, it will have to be looking back and saying, well, how good are the rivals? I'm Jake Sperry, Joseph Black, along with me for the final round of this season. Joseph, the key is going to be at a very open former airfield base here in Snetterton, Norfolk, England. A case of getting the fundamentals correct to hold steady and earn your title.
Yeah, that's all it's going to be about. It's going to be about consistency. He's built up that gap right now that he's built it up. He's there. He's got one hand on the trophy, as it were, and he just needs to be able to take it over the line. So he has to keep it consistent, and he has to not trip over here in Norwich.
So, if he wants to be SIMAGIC F4 Series champion here on Velocity Esports Racing, he has got to be absolutely switched on with it here. We've been here to the Hockenheim ring to start. Okayama, we went to Japan. Navarra back in Spain. Gilles Villeneuve over to North America. And here on Snetterton, again, another circuit that is different to everything that they have run as we run this show in collaboration with Motors Inc., Intercomp, Monster Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and The Specialist. There is still so much amazing action to come here on what has been a hard-fought, amazing battling championship out there over the course of this season. But for those of you who have not seen Snetterton and this national treasure out here in the United Kingdom, a little track guide should be more than enough to get you up to speed.
Welcome to Snetterton Circuit. Like many British tracks that were born shortly after World War II, this venue was made out of an old military airfield. It's a mere 30 minutes drive from Norwich and offers up 3 different layouts of varying lengths. This means the track is easily able to host international, regional, and club level racing. Previously rather simple, the circuit's most recent update in 2011 introduced a twisty infield section. Still, it's mainly punctuated by 2 very long straights, the Senna Straight, where the pits are located, and the Bentley Straight, which acts as the backstretch. As you'd expect for a track born out of an airfield, there's little in the way of elevation change. However, the one spot in which you do find some undulation, it really stands out. The bomb hole dips cars down in the middle of a quick right-hand kink, causing them to have to keep a heads up lest they lose the car. The track is not without character though. Rich's is very swift for a first turn and includes 2 distinct apexes. There's also the combination of Brundle and Nelson, which forces drivers to turn hard while braking. Never an easy combination to manage. The long sweeping run through Coram down into Murray's can also be quite tricky. The car will want to drift out, forcing a shallow entry into the final left-hander. But failing to give yourself a good exit will leave you vulnerable to attack down the pit straight. Perhaps not as famous as some other British circuits, this place is a bit of a hidden gem in the UK motorsport scene. Fans who get to witness racing here certainly seem likely to return.
A fantastic circuit that folds in upon itself with its newest element of the track being the run then over to Palmer Corner, turn 3, to Agostini at turn 4, through Hamilton at turn 5, and then into Oggies at 6 and 7, over into Williams at 8. That leads on to that long Bentley Straight. But a circuit that has seen a whole heap of amazing running from every single type of car, Joseph.
It really has. It's one of those circuits that doesn't quite have the status of like a Silverstone or a Brands Hatch, where it's seen as too big for club racing, but at the same time, it's definitely above that level of club racing cars. So what you will get is you will get plenty of people who are from that upper echelon decide to come and race here, and then you've got plenty of people from below, so there will be plenty, as you say, of different car types racing around this circuit. This evening we've got some F4 action for you, and it should be very interesting to see, especially the first sector on that first lap. It's tight, it's twisty, and I'm sure we'll be seeing at least one 3-wide moment.
Yeah, and those moments, I think, are going to be very, very important to keep in mind, because it's going to be all out. It's going to be about how you get the passes done, and the run through Brundle corner into Nelson corner, turn 10, is the prime place today to go and get the passes done slightly down the hill into that section. There is not much elevation change at all around this track. It must continue to be said. First race is for 25 championship points for 25 minutes. The second race is for 10 points on 15 minutes worth of running. Qualifying is currently underway with 3 laps available for everybody to go and set out on their course. So, one of the easiest things to do when you're fighting in a championship is to put the car where you need to. And Aaron De Battista needs to on 95 points. Mika Mercieka on 81. Jake Samet on 79. Ryan Carabot, 31 points back, is technically still in with a shot of the championship, but he needs a miracle to go and take the title away tonight. It's mathematically an improbability, with Sean Cassar dropping from 3rd to 5th after last week. Adrian Manduka up to 6th, Dean Vella up to 7th, and Craig Caruana 8th in the championship. It really has been about who wants to strengthen up on a battle of 2 teams, basically, over the course of this season. VMD Intercomp versus Project Aversio.
Yeah, that seems to be the way with a lot of these championships here over in Malta. These 2 teams tend to come to blows plenty of times. And just having a look further down the order, we've got the likes of Ilan Dimesh Gershi, who I think still has something to prove here tonight. He's done plenty of racing earlier on in the season, where he's kind of been... He's been very good at defending, so if he's further up in that order, don't expect him to lose those positions particularly easily at the top of the field. George Parge as well, further back. He's still not got a point on the board. He'll be desperate to get off the mark tonight.
He absolutely will be. And so if you want to get off the mark here at Snetterton, you understand over everybody else that you want to try and find your way up into that top 10, and calm and patience is going to be the name of the game as we take this lovely zooming view around those fields as we get ourselves into turn 3 with the championship leader, Aaron De Battista, as he works hard then down the hill slightly and over towards turn 4 through the dip. 200 meters, hit the brakes, second gear, trying to fight the car into the corner there. You can see how much he's having to fight with the lumps and bumps around this place here. That is a steering wheel that has a lot of force feedback going through it.
It is. It's one where they've cranked up the settings all the way to keep it realistic, but at the same time, it almost feels like you're fighting the car through all of the corners, and so it's difficult. But at the same time, it can keep you disciplined in terms of what you're going to be doing in terms of fighting the car into corners, because if you try to throw it in too much, you might find that the wheel and the car itself are fighting back at you. De Battista then is going to try and just continue this run and head on to the end of his first lap here in Snetterton. Of course, they've got 8 minutes 30. They've got 3 laps to set a time on the board, and for the number 1, he's going to come through the final segment of this lap and come through to set the first lap time of the day, sweeping through Coram before heading through the final corner of Murray's. I'm sure that'll be an overtaking opportunity for some drivers later on. Putting the power down the centre straight now, we will see what the first lap on the board for our champion-elect is going to be. It's going to be a time of a 1 minute 46.969, a tenth and a half slower than Jake Samet.
Critical for Jake Samet to set his stall out early and do what he needs to. But Dean Vella, a 46.7, fastest then. Craig Caruana then in second. There's going to be some apple carts that need rocking because there's 300s splitting the top 3, and Jake Samet in that laid-back Formula position, wiping a bit of sweat away from his forehead as he works over into Agostini corner turn 4. So I think there is a real sense of this is where pressure is found, and he's got the easiest job, the least amount of pressure of the top 3 in the championship. He knows that he's got to be the one clawing his way forward, and he can only be perfect and rely on help elsewhere.
Yes, he certainly does. Caruana up to the front row of the field. He's just 0.018 off of Dean Vella at the top. So some very good lap times from some drivers who may not have been expecting it from earlier on. The top 12 all within a second of each other, showing that even on a long lap like this, we're still going to get some very exciting action indeed. Samet is just 0.033 off of the pole man. So there's the top three split by 0.03. So it should be very good indeed to watch on with. But I mean, for De Battista, he needs to find 2/10. I think that's the crux of it, because he'll want it wrapped up in this feature so that he can have a bit of fun in the sprint.
Murcieka down the order in 9th place, so is struggling a little bit in terms of qualifying time. That looks like that might be a bit too far wide from Jake Samet through the final corner. We'll see if it counts. Making the cross then over to see how good this will be. Nope, it invalidates. So now needs to go for that third and final attempt and say, this is what I'm capable of. Murcieka then to the stripe. Is this going to be magical in terms of lap time? No, it's not quicker. Drops down to 10th because Ilan Dimek has gone quicker. So suddenly Murcieka needs to find a full 0.6 of a second in this final qualifying lap. Otherwise, it is going to all go astray, and that's the biggest disaster that you've got to try and avoid on what is pretty good track temperatures out there, 28 degrees Celsius.
Especially when you've got two of your championship rivals on the second row of the grid right now, and I'm sure they'll be jumping up for Michael Murcieka. These are season-defining laps, and he's going to be setting them right now and hoping to beat that 47.381. He hasn't been comfortable so far on this circuit, and it's about finding that comfortability in the next 5 minutes that will be oh so crucial for his championship challenge. Dean Vella, who is going to be an unlikely provisional poleman right now, is going to hope to stay on it for the end of the session, but of course he'll have pressure from Samet, from De Battista, and from himself if he ends up throwing lap times away like I think he's just done right there, pushing it a little bit wide, trying to take too much throttle.
Aaron De Battista needs 2/10 to get by the Maltese national champion Dean Vella, and he knows, does Aaron, that this is about trying to play the game to mitigate the damage. He's got to not let Jake Samet outscore him by 6. He's got to not let Michael Murcieka outscore him by 4. If he does that, he can get this sorted one race early. De Battista to the line. 46.902. Improves time, but not place. Karabot 5th. Kassar in 6th. Murcieka all the way down in 11th. Jumps to 8th. There on that third, 47.2. So that critical as it goes. Jake Samet couldn't improve enough on lap time to get up and forward, which leaves us only with Paolo Camilleri, who is the only driver who hasn't set a lap time and is the last car heading over to the line. We'll see what this effort is as he crosses then along the center straight, and it does not count as a lap, so remains at the back as far as it goes. Dean Vella on pole position, Craig Caruana alongside. Suddenly, those who are in the championship fight here, Joseph, are not having everything their own way.
No, they're not. They're being made to work hard for it here at Snetterton, which is exactly what we want to see. The likes of Dean Vella jumping up to the top are very interesting indeed to watch, and we will be seeing what they can do throughout the rest of this weekend. As I said earlier on, I mean, Gershi's very good at defending, but Dean Vella, good in himself, and Craig Caruana has been a driver that's shown promise, but at the moment, he looks set to capitalise upon it.
And having a front row seat is absolutely awesome, but the key as well to the start of these races is your first big braking zone isn't actually turn number 1, Joseph. It's turn 2 over at Wilson Corner.
Yeah, and it's one of those where the drivers sort of have to adapt to it. So they're going to be going through with each other. Not going to be completely flat out on the first lap at least, but they're going to be just hoping to jostle for any track position that they can possibly get. And it will be important heading on later on into the race because, of course, there's not many overtaking opportunities in that first sector at least. So they'll be losing ground, they'll be losing confidence, and it can very quickly lead from things going bad to going worse.
I know it's 36 degrees here in the United Kingdom right now, but to pardon the juxtaposition, it could snowball into the wrong place at the wrong time. And very much this could be one of those days where if it starts going awry, you're going to have to try and work hard for it. And Aaron De Battista, defending a 14-point championship lead over Murciek, has got exactly what he wants over Mikar, who couldn't qualify the car the way he wanted to. Over someone like Jake Sammet, is close to, but tangling is something that could be very, very important to note when you're in the early mid-pack.
Yeah, and especially when you've got those top three split by what they were, which is 0.033, and then De Battista was about a tenth behind. So those top three, I think, will be fighting with each other at the start of this race, at least. I think De Battista will be in with them as well, because I don't think he showed his full potential in qualifying, or at least not through the standards that we've seen throughout the entire season. And then they've got to avoid falling into Karabot and Kassar and Manduka behind, because they're all very well matched as well. I mean, Kassar and Manduka are only split by 1/1000th of a second. So it's all about just trying to keep away from the bottom group as much as they can.
And let's talk the technical nature of this circuit, because for all of the big overtaking opportunities this place has, it does test you in terms of where you have to make the moves, how you have to make the moves, and every corner on this pancake flat circuit has somewhat of a way of offering a way back. And you can just see Jake Sammet there for the moment, just sitting down, understanding, right, this is what I have to do. He's got that SIMAGIC base there in terms of his gear, the next level seat that he sits on, the trophies there in the back on the shelf that says, yeah, I am pretty talented at what I do.
Oh, he is fantastically talented. And I mean, we've had a very, very strong grid throughout the course of this season as well. So it has been great to see him emerge as one of the top drivers, as well as, I mean, everyone in this group has surprised me at various different points in the season with their pace that they've had. And I mean, it's so very well matched. The top 11 in that qualifying session split by almost exactly 0.5 of a second. So it's very, very tight. And I mean, through that, you get the drivers who have those extra tenths of a second that could be very crucial. Jake is one of them. De Battista has had about 1.5 tenths.
Let's take a look at our starting grid then in full here from Snetterton, as Dean Vella will be in control on the pole position with Craig Caruana alongside for company. It is then Jake Sammet and Aaron De Battista. They are third and fourth, as Ryan Karabot will start this one from fifth and Sean Kassar in sixth. Adrian Manduka is seventh with Mikar Murciek. A lot of work to do. Then in eighth place overall, as Brandon Bonello starts ninth and Sheldon Muscat rounds out your top 10.
It does, and that is a 15-car field that we've got for ourselves tonight. Ilan Dimesh Gershi will start from 11th alongside George Parge on that 6th row of the field. Jaden Alul and Denzi Elagius, the last drivers to set times. Paolo Camilleri will be starting from the back.
So, Camilleri will have to have a lot of hard work to go and put together, as we are in the gridding process here at Snetterton. They used to run all the way up on that left hand there, the A11, I believe it is, as you go on forward, which is the connecting link road over to Norwich as you go on by. And just a little bit further down on this road, by the way, is the small village of Hethel. And for those who don't understand how important Hethel is as a village to motorsport, it is the village that houses Lotus out there in terms of their manufactured car production at the moment. It's truly incredible to see what this great place has been able to achieve. And Lotus, a wonderful format then through Colin Chapman, and how successful Formula Racing was through him. So, with all that in mind, they will line themselves up and get themselves ready for racing, with Dean Vella the fastest in that qualifying. They will know that on the centre straight, they have to go and show that they are ready to fight for this title. It could be wrapped up with one race to spare. 25 minutes will decide whether it is or whether we need one more. Immediate coverage over to the right-hand side from Craig Caruana as we get underway. That forces Sammet to the left-hand side. That forces De Battista over almost towards the grass and sweeping around the outside of turn one, trying to get the clearance on one of his main championship rivals, and he does so on the brakes then into Wilson Corner for the first time. Vela from Caruana. One car's going to go off then in the back, and it's going to be Denzel Agius who ends up looking at that going, yeah, I'm a little bit red-faced after that. Into Palmer, turn 3.
Yes, into that second braking zone on the lap. We're seeing a couple of drivers just wash wide, try to cause battles. This is Sean Cassar under pressure from Macheka, who's hoping to make his way further up the order, and he's managed to make his way maybe past 1. He would have gained 1 place on this race. Sean Cassar has dropped 1 to Adrian Manduka, very wide in the background. I'm not quite sure who that was. Maybe Jay Nalul, who's further down the order and having issues, but back onto the circuit, all fine and clean. But we can see after the first skirmishes, the biggest winners and the biggest losers, and at the moment it all stations as you were at the top.
Ilan Dimek was the one who has pushed off, as now Caruana will see Aaron De Battista making his move over to the inside into Brundle, and that's going to be a chance then for Jake Samet, who can't get it to work around the outside of Nelson Corner. They now head to the bomb hole out there, which isn't, believe it or not, as far as common knowledge goes, a World War II bomb hole that is there. That was legitimately the way they decided to profile that corner. We'll stick some dynamite down there.
Yeah, and it's really going to throw the drivers off, I think, as they head through it. And the final sector is very, very tricky indeed, because you are going to have to just wind your way through it. And that's the end of our first lap. Dean Vela leading by about 0.8 of a second. Caruana off the back of De Battista by about 0.7 of a second. Will we be seeing a move into turn 1 for Macheka? Not quite yet. He decides to wait and watch behind Manduka. We are seeing a move between Elul and Bonello, though, and it will be Bonello who tries to sweep through on the inside line. It will turn into the outside for the next corner. Bit of contact between these two drivers, in fact, and waiting in the wings is going to be Ilan Dimet. Gershi, who wants to get himself involved in it, maybe just pushes Elul a little bit wide by taking the racing line. Elul was a bit slower. In the end, they managed to stay in formation, and there goes Gershi's front wing. There goes Gershi in general.
Well, Gershi tagged front wheel to rear wheel. That's more than enough to get around, and Samet commanding Agostini, pushing Craig Caruana out wide and saying, no, I'm not going to have you hold up with your teammate just in front of me. Nice stuff. Caruana chucks it back in. Contact, and round goes Craig Caruana. Samet has to go across the grass and try and avoid. It allows Ryan Karabot to jump through. And critically, Mika Mercieka, these two for second in the championship. 2 points between them. Samet holds on. That could have been his race over right there.
Could have been, but what it may well be is just a huge dent in his championship chances, as he's on the back of Karabot. Macheka and Cassar almost fighting, but Cassar's getting tangled up with Manduka. They remain side by side. This is going to put a bit of air in between Samet and Macheka, the two drivers for second and third place in the championship, for fourth and fifth on the road. But of course, this is the fight for sixth, slightly further down in the order. Drivers waiting to pounce. Here's one, George Page, looking for his first point of the season. He's all over the back of Sheldon Muscat.
Top 10 you need for points. He's 9th, which would mean he'd get 2 championship points, and he'll be very happy. Sheldon Muscat, though, would look around at it, and Aaron De Battista on cue gets the fastest lap of the race on a 46.9. Page not close enough to get by Sheldon Muscat in Rich's corner, as just in front of that, it's going to be Samet having to defend Mercieka. Wide goes Ryan Karabot, realises these two are fighting for the title, and he has to basically play to form and say, I've got to let these two have it and go. There is as well a live race control for any incidents that are going about. They will be added on in post, but look at that critical gap out there overall of what is 3 seconds to Aaron De Battista. It's huge at the moment as Page gets by Muscat.
He does. That'll be Page up into 8th place, and he looks very well set for his first points of the season. Muscat 2/10 off of the back of him, and Bonello looking to put him under pressure some point very, very soon. Elul as well, the only driver outside of the points in this fight at the moment, wanting to jump back in. He'll be having a look at that soon. Manduka and Cassar split by just under 0.2 of a second. Macheka and Karabot, there's a bit of air between them, but Samet and Macheka at the moment, there's about 0.5 tenth between the third and the 4th place driver, and they look set to keep that fighting on. Page and Muscat side by side for 8th place. Page will defend the inside. He committed to it early. Muscat swapped over late, and he's able to squeeze through into the chicane, but Page is just able to get the exit. Muscat ran a little bit wide on the exit of the corner, and through goes Bonello as well, so the 14 goes from fighting for 8th into just outside of that little group.
Yeah, Very important there, that pass that has been done, and we'll take a little look here at the replay. This was Craig Caruana then as he walked into the right-hander, and this is what he needs here. Well, through the left, he gets pushed out wide there by Jake Samet, and the decision here is, do I want to keep fighting for it, yes or no? Clearance is made, but he looks to attack straight back at the inside. Samet's gone for the corner. He's steered out of it the latest available opportunity, and then the two tangle. So Craig there, I think, just outbreaking himself, trying to say, I'm going to fight for what I've got, but critically made the gap there for Aaron De Battista to realise second is more than enough right now to confirm the championship. Jake Samet needs 6 points on De Battista, which means Samet's got to find a way to not only get up to Dean Vella, but pass him as well.
Yeah, it does take two to tangle, though, doesn't it? So those drivers will be hoping to avoid making any other errors or having any other contact throughout the course of the rest of this race. Muscat at the moment defending that position ahead of LL by about 0.8 of a second. I think he's looking a little bit more forward to Page and Bonello, who are having their own fight as it goes. The 59 on the back, in the lead of this, just ahead of the number 7. This is the lead of the race. Dean Vella has held on to it for the whole time, and they will remain in that position for the time being. By the way, there is going to be a 5-second time penalty added to the number 10 for a minor contact, and that is, of course, that minor contact they had earlier with Ryan Carabot. The description is that he went for a move that was never on, and it caused a collision. So a 5-second time penalty added to his time post-race.
Yeah, so that's Craig Caruana after contact there with Jake Samet. So that makes more than enough to say, right, that incident says all you need to know about it. So that can be very, very tough to go and deal with and understand how quickly those penalties can run out of hand. An extra 5 seconds won't mean too much, but Craig Caruana will try and move on forward. Kassar in 7th position right now, looking for a way up to 6th here by Ryan Carabot. Not close enough just yet coming out of Wilson, but working through what is known as the 300 layout of this circuit, because it's 3 kilometers long. The old school layout of this circuit is known as the 200, which is known because it's 2 miles long. And then you've got the 100, 1 mile long, the difference makers there. Damage to the front wing for George Page as he fights on here with Sheldon Muscat. That was the contact that formed and served the damage there, which basically puts a little bit of a, I don't know, look in terms of that front wing. And look at Sheldon, he's all over the back trying to find that move.
What was that noise? Either way, Sheldon Muscat, as you say, is absolutely right. He's all over the back of George Page at the moment, looking for this position. Page will want to hold on to it. He'll want to stay in those precious points positions. But with Muscat and LL charging up to the back of him like they have been, then it will be under pressure later on in this race. The number 7 at the moment holding on just ahead of Muscat as they're side by side. Macheka looks at Samet, doesn't make that move just yet, but he was very keen to have a look at it. Why wouldn't you be when you're fighting for second in the championship? I think De Batista's a little bit further up the order now, and they're hoping for a mistake. What happened to Jake Samet? He ran wide, and this is why Macheka was able to pull alongside.
Yeah, he was close, but not close enough, making the move at the bomb hole, and a little bit of dirty air for Murcieka basically shoved him out the wrong way. Now, here at Rich's corner, turn 1, piloting hard over through this right. They used to call this place Montreal, turn 2, but named after the late Justin Wilson. Here, this right-hander, they pass what is known as the Chapman chicane on the left-hand side, and now make the progress over to Palmer. Turn 3 as Adrian Manduca watches on, and his 2 Aversio teammates. It's 4 in a row for Project Aversio right now, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. And if they start looking at each other, big picture goes out the window of Vella and De Battista.
Yes, it does indeed, and I think this is where it's going to be deciding really this race and this championship as to whether De Battista is going to fight for the win or just fight to lead this one. Of course, if he does take the victory, that takes him some steps closer to that championship, and I believe it does take him over the line. So does he want to seal it in this race and then just have a bit of fun next one, or is he just going to focus on that consistency and minimising those mistakes and minimising those pressures and minimising those mistakes he could make and then he'll head into the final round with rarely any pressure on his shoulders, just a need to finish within the top 8, and he'll seal that championship anyway.
Well, here's the scenario for Aaron De Battista. He can elect to sit behind Dean Vella here in this race, take the points in the championship, or he can go be a race car driver here, Joseph, and go fight for the win.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to balance, isn't it? Because it's head versus heart. And I think the heart says that he wants to go racing, but the heart says keep your championship alive because you never quite know what might happen between you. But yeah, it's all going to be all weighed up in the last 15-ish minutes of this race. We've just ticked over to what will be the 7th lap of this race. And Dean Vella and De Battista split by 0.5 of a second. Macheka, Samet and Manduka split by less than that. And that's 3 cars in that split. And Jake Samet is going to be defending at the moment from Mika Macheka. He threw up a defensive shape. He went slightly late. He's thinking about that fight with Macheka for now.
47 threes then from each of your top 5 on that last lap. So they're all equal at this moment. To Agostini, turn 4. You got a great chance of making a move at this section of road. You get the drive off the exit and say, right, out of Agostini, what can I do? Along to Hamilton here, the left-hander. A lot of these corners named after British racing greats, but I don't know who a Mr. Oggies is out there in terms of racing. Driving out through 6 and 7 and over into turn 8 here of Williams, which leads onto the backstretch over nearing Brundle here. This wonderful long Bentley straight is all about getting the power down and saying how quick can you go. Over 220 kilometers an hour underneath the entrance bridge, back over to the right and push it to a limit. The anti-cut curves here at Snetterton stare daggers into your soul.
They do. It's very scary, I think, for these drivers just to try and fight their way through it. And it's just going to be all about keeping yourself in position, as I think there may well be a position change further down in the order. Macheka briefly looked like he went behind Manduka, but was able to pick up that position. So maybe the 18 had a good exit out of a corner. I mean, he was able to pull alongside. But speaking of alongside, down the centre straight, here comes Macheka. He'll be on the inside line of turn number 1, but he will just back out. He doesn't feel the need to compromise his speed into turn 1, and I think that's partially down to the fact that Manduka is looming.
Well, they're having to be a little bit sensible about these battles here. Manduka shows that he's got the pace to get up alongside, but no more than that in the context here of this one, and it needs to be more. They are breaking away from Karabot and Kassar. The look behind here on with Jake Samet, but Mika Murcieka, I think, is turning and looking at this and seeing that championship just fading and fading away. They're not making any inroads into Vella and De Battista. Those two are clear and comfortably clear.
They are, and I wanted to be nerdy and find out the answer to your query, by the way, about Oggies, and it's actually named after one of the owners of Motorsport Vision, which is, of course, the people who own and operate this track. They are owned by Jonathan Palmer and Sir Peter Ogden, so that's where that name comes from. Macheka is going to be trying to go alongside with Jake Samet, but it doesn't look as though, as soon as he gets out of the corner, he has any overspeed. As soon as he steps out of the slipstream, he just doesn't have anything to fight with, so he needs to wait for something like that. A mistake from Jake Samet, but he didn't quite pounce upon it.
Well, not going to get it here through the bomb hole. I think here Murcieka is going to hold around Coram Corner, try and get the lunge at Murray's, and you need to be right up alongside, and that's not going to work. So another opportunity that goes begging here, and the gap out to 4.5. Jay Nalul hits the incident limit of 17. Is going to have to take here a drive-through penalty.
He is, and hopefully all the other drivers can avoid that, but we've seen everybody trying to get as close to the track limits as they possibly can, and why shouldn't they in this round? Because it is going to be all about maximising that time, and they do need to try and maximise that time a lot if they're going to pick up anything in this race. Manduka on the back of Macheka, Macheka on the back of Samet. This has been the way for about 5 or 6 laps now, split by this much, and it's very, very minimal, and they've been chasing each other so much, they've slowed each other up so much, that Karabot and Kassar enter stage right.
So they are back into the picture again, and they can elect to put themselves in if they want to or not. So they will work hard. Manduka just waiting patiently in 5th, and if you don't even make these moves, there is another factor to consider for this final race coming up after this one here, Joseph. Top 8 invert. Murcieka, a big old blink there, heading to Williams. That's going to do no favours.
No, he's going to want to make sure that everything stays stable throughout the rest of this race. It's all about that consistency, just to stay in it and stay in the fight as well. As I mentioned earlier on, don't forget De Battista cannot win the championship from second in this race, but he can take himself pretty much bang on as close as you can get. Murcieka is going to continue in that 4th place, but he's not going to have the pressure from Manduka anymore.
Slow down for
He's
Manduka.
dropped down behind Ryan Carabot and Sean Cassar, as you say, because of a slowdown.
And it's so easily picked up, and you've got to find a safe place to go and serve it. And that was what exactly happened there for Adrian Manduka. Caught the penalty going through the middle of the circuit and then got to the Bentley Straight. That's going to be the place I'm going to have to go and serve my penalty. It has now allowed and opened up the chance for Murcieka to freely attack if he should so want to, but he again doesn't. But now here comes Sean Cassar to the inside. He goes from rags to riches and says, right, I'm going to have it here at Wilson on the inside, locks an inside front. That pushes him deep. Carabot leaves the room and gets the drive on the outside. Should give him the inside here now over at Palmer and says, yeah, that is gonna be mine. But here's the crossover, covered again on the defense. Adrian Manduka to the fray. Now he's gonna think, where do I want to go for this? Outside again. It's tried. It's a little deep from Ryan Carabot, but it's covered.
There's so many opportunities for Manduka to find here. There's so many chances that it kind of overwhelms you and you don't quite know where you can go. Cassar and Carabot are going to be fighting. Manduka's going to want to gain that position back up that he held earlier on, but it's about where can he find that opportunity. At the moment, Carabot and Cassar are just planting those cars every single spot in the circuit, which means Manduka's running out of space.
He's running out of space to try and make something happen here. Carabot then forcing the hand then of Sean Cassar to go to the outside at Brundle. Doesn't work. And again, patience. The aim of the game there. A lot of wheel work from Adrian Manduka as we're on board. Trying to work here to the bomb hole and then over to Coram Corner here on the south side of the circuit. A little nibble over to the inside then from Sean Cassar. He is harassing the back of Ryan Carabot here. It's like having a little Yorkshire Terrier at home.
It is. He's just nipping at their heels, trying to get through. Cassar's going to get that momentum, and he's going to try to pick up that position, and he's going to pull to the outside of turn number 1. Don't forget that they are not going to be lifting onto that brake pedal anytime soon, which means Cassar's going to hold it around the outside. It'll be down towards Montreal where he's going to try to make that move. The inside line beckons for Carabot to defend the position. Cassar runs a bit wide. He has a slide on the exit where he tries to put the power down just that little bit too early. Manduka's right in it now, but he is not close enough to make anything stick. All of them slightly off of the road as they head out towards Agostini, but it will continue to be in formation. Manduka is putting Cassar under all sorts of pressure right now.
Well, while this battle goes on, they stay remaining 3rd and 4th, and critically, Aaron De Battista at 3/10 behind Dean Vella can definitely open up a chance to say in the final 6 minutes, I have a shot of going for the race victory. This is going to be the telling factor here of what car number 1 wants to do. It's either you can or you can't. There is no in between here. Working through into the right-hander of Nelson. And for Aaron De Battista, he knows how good Dean Vella is as a driver, but as the championship leader, you command a little bit of respect here. And this is a case of the national champion against what would be the next favourite for the national championships of Malta, starting again in August.
I think it's all going to be about the respect that they give each other, as you say, and it's all going to be about, I mean, they're both very talented drivers, of course, but at the same time, it's about how much does De Battista want it, how much does Vella want it. He will be so keen to pick up this race victory. De Battista, it would seal his championship, it would take the pressure off of him, but how much is that worth? The risk of trying to fight. He might look to the inside here into turn 2, and he doesn't quite make it when Vella just gets and plants that car in the middle of the apex of that corner. De Battista doesn't have the run. This is further back in the order. Karabot, Kassar, and Manduka on the bottom right of your screens, and they are about to go 3 wide for that position, and we'll keep on with this group now. As soon as we turn over to Vela and De Battista, as soon as that seems to spice up, this lot are demanding the attention once again.
They are, and I think when you're looking around at these three, they've just been out there throwing moves, happy with everything that they've put on the board, and I think you can be very, very proud of the battling that they have managed to put together. Karabot holding Kassar, holding Manduka, and knowing that they're going to be the three near the front, with Brandon Bonello currently on the bubble spot of 8th place to be the transfer for the final race out there. Clearance then is a little wide going on to the Bentley straight, which means Sean Kassar has got a run and is now going to move to the outside to try and get it done. He's going to have to pinch here over compared to Ryan Karabot, and there's contact as they work through. Karabot got it wrong. He's going to bounce over. Adrian Manduka's going to split the difference, get the pair of them. Sean and Ryan will look red-faced at each other.
They will. It's all about working together, and that's not what they've done. Bonello's coming through now. He splits the two. What a move from the 59 as Kassar drops that position to Karabot as well. And yeah, he does look damaged. That's absolutely right. We're going to get another replay here to see exactly what was going to happen between those drivers. Of course, Karabot and Kassar pushed it maybe just that little bit over the line, and Brandon Bonello found his way through. These race leaders, though, are going to give it a go with just 3 minutes left to go.
So you don't have to come in and serve a black and orange mechanical flag that is there on Sean Kassar with 4 laps to go or less. You can drive it all the way to the end. Here's another look. So Karabot's come over and moved, but he's missed his braking point. Kassar's got nowhere to go on the outside, and he'll throw the proverbial and universal sigh, Joseph, there of a disgruntled racing driver, hand up in the air out the cockpit.
Yes, it certainly is going to be one of those moments, and I'm sure that if we were able to watch on with them like we can for the likes of Jake Samet, we would be seeing exactly the same thing for those drivers. We'll see these two heading through, though, and still fighting it out. Aaron De Battista has tried so many different things to get through on Dean Vela, has been unsuccessful so far. The experience of our race leader is what is prevailing so far, and as we look on to the final couple of laps of this race, we'll see what they are able to do in terms of fighting with each other. Paolo Camilleri, what has he done in the 23? He's just gone too wide, and that is a shunt.
It's more than a shunt. It's a big shunt, and it makes life really, really difficult here for Camilleri to say, I want my first points, because he's on the wrong side of it, looking to try and get what he can. These two then cross with 1:37 on the clock. That means 1 lap to go here at Snetterton. In the background, the desperate pleas of Jake Samet and Mika Murcieka. You two do something untoward. 2 tires in the grass from Aaron De Battista. Says that's a little bit too far over the mark. I would dial it back in. He does want to try and pick up a victory, but at the moment, Dean Vela has seemingly just driven a calm race. He's not had to worry about anything behind in terms of throws, of moves, of anything like that. That's a spin. In the back, it's Brandon Bonello, and it will drop him outside of the top 8, and it's going to be a disaster, as now that will promote the likes then of Sheldon Muscat to that position. De Battista working himself then through over Hamilton into Oggie's corner, the right, which really juts back over as you try and sort it out. And now over to Williams, and making the drive that is so desperately there and capable. Dean Vela knows what he's got in the background. Mika Murcieka will know he's only got a scrap for second in the championship now, and he will drop 3 crucial points and will be behind by 1 going into the final race of this championship. Dean Vella still holds. There's still a chance for the final corner to behold something different in the tune of this race lead battle that we've got going on. It's Dean Vella holding his mark, and he knows that as he hits Murray's corner and gets the drive, he's got a lovely, lovely run as they go, and it's going to be form finish they go. Vella's going to take the win, but Aaron De Battista is your SIMAGIC F4 Series champion.
Yes, well done, Aaron De Battista. A fantastic drive, and he did so maturely. It could have been so very easy for him to go for that win, but he was able to keep it consistent and keep himself calm and keep himself out of trouble to take the victory in the championship. Second place then in the championship. Looks like it's going to head down to the finale with those two drivers fighting it out on track, and we will now see them fight it out in the finale of this season. We've had the feature. We're heading on to the sprint next.
So let's get confirmation of result, and this will be one that makes the championship secure for car number 1. Aaron De Battista, second today behind the national champion Dean Vella, is more than enough to see it sorted. Jake Sammet ends up in third with Mikhail Murchieka in fourth position. Adrian Manduka rounds out your top 5. It then follows through with Ryan Carabot and Sean Cassara, Sheldon Muscat, Craig Caruana and George Parge will make your top 10. Muscat on pole for the final race of the season.
He will be, of course. We've got that reverse grid, and looking further down the order, Brandon Bonello will be in 11th, and Denzel Agius will round out the finishers. Only 24 seconds between first and last. Then Paolo Camilleri, Jaden Alul, and Ilan Demet Gershi were our DNFs for that race, which was, of course, as you say, one that decided the championship.
Well, more than enough it was to say this is championship or otherwise. And what a magnificent season. And this is going to be the key of Aaron De Battista's season, because in these feature races, Joseph, he has finished first on 2 occasions, and twice he has been second. So when you turn around and look at that and say 2 firsts, 2 seconds, if you're scoring the points that consistently and your rivals are nickel and diming you trying to get it back on these sprint races that follow afterwards, I'd turn around and say you're doing more than enough of a good job.
Yeah, I think in fairness, Aaron De Battista has looked the most comfortable of these drivers. I think he's the one he's almost made it look easier than what Macheka and Sammet have been able to do. He's made it just look calm and collected, whereas the other drivers have maybe been caught up in scraps. And that might be down to their luck. That might be just down to what they can do. But of course, as you say, a champion is crowned, and consistency is key in a championship. And that's exactly what we've just seen. And as we head into the finale, Jake Sammet now takes the lead in the fight as it becomes a 2-horse race for the runners-up spot.
So just 10 points remaining on the table. Jake Sammet is ahead by 1. And so there is 10 points for a win. There is 9 for second, 8 for third, 7 for fourth, and 6 for 5th place. There is 4 points on offer if you're 6th, 2 points if you're 7th, and 1 championship point if you are in 8th place. So very condensed at the top, a little bit more spread out the points at the bottom, which is not something that you normally get to see in a scenario like this one as we get ourselves ready for the final stages. But when you add that factor of quick guys trying to get past slower guys trying to hold on against quicker guys, it's a cauldron recipe, reverse grid style racing, for incident.
It really is. It's all about trying to avoid those incidents. And I know we've seen plenty of times this season the fact that these drivers, they just can't help themselves. They want to go and make those moves. And around a tight circuit, they will be punished for it. So I wouldn't be surprised if in this final race of the year, when the pressure is all off of the drivers, we see a couple of moments where they pushed it just slightly over the line.
So we now move into the feature race, and the grid now is going to be set and sorted here as we look to go and get things sorted. A massive thanks for all of you who are following us here on Velocity Esports Racing. It is Sheldon Muscat who has the control of the field over Sean Cassar and Ryan Carabot, with Adrian Manduka going from 4th position. Mikhail Murchieka has now got to go from 5th rather than 8th, with Jake Sam at 6th, Aaron De Battista 7th, and Dean Vella in 8th place. Craig Caruana 9th, George Parge rounding out your top 10.
Yes, and then looking further back at the last 5 cars on this field, it'll be Brandon Bonello in 11th, Denzel Agius in 12th, and then our 3 DNFs from race 1, Paolo Camilleri, Jaden Alul, and Ilan Dimek Gershi.
So, now is the time. One last chance to prove what you've got, and the last form set for the F4 National Championship coming up in August for them. So this is the last real great chance to go. Slow off the line is Sean Cassar. Immediately Ryan Karabot jumps over and says, I'll have it. Manduka wants in. Mercieka wants in and starts to think about it. In towards turn number 1 of Riches they go. And the calmness pretty much gone immediately as we'll now look to almost 3 wide here into turn 2. Couple drivers missing out on the brakes there and having to go scampering away. One is George Page, the other's Dean Vella.
Yeah, neither of them got off to particularly great starts in this one, but we continue on with Sean Cassar further up in the order as there has been a few moves further back. Craig Caruana looking for one in 9th place in that number 10 machine, the bright red car, but this is further up. Cassar now putting Manduka under pressure, and he's looking around the outside line of our current podium sitter. Muscat leads the way, Karabot's in 2nd, and those 2 drivers are drivers that we've been surprised, I think, at least at Karabot, that he hasn't taken a race win. And Muscat heading into the season as Denzel Agius has problems and Vella has a meatball.
Yeah, a big old moment out there. Dean Vella with damage, and I think that he's picked that one up as he has gone with contact there into the left of turn 2. Has run up the back, unfortunately, by Page. As now for the lead, Ryan Karabot to the outside. We'll turn to the inside here over at Nelson, and he's got the next 2 corners as well. Try and confirm it. Sheldon Muscat holding on the outside. These 2 have been rivals for a very long time in sim racing spheres and trying to make it work. Sheldon Muscat loses out. Ryan Karabot, your new leader.
When you get to these kinds of battles, when you get to these storied tales, it gets to a point where they know each other, they know where they're going to fight, even if they've not fought on this circuit necessarily before. They've been at similar situations, in similar situations, at similar times. Sheldon Muscat's going to look to the outside of the turn number 1. He's not going to pick up the position, but he's able to just keep a tyre in, but Karabot on the exit defends. Cassar and Manduka side by side for that 3rd place. It's the inside line for Sean Cassar once again. Is he able to finally, he's been chipping and chipping away at Manduka. Is this the 3rd place that he so desired? No, Manduka holds firm.
Adrian Manduka knows where to place a car. His one weakness is qualifying out there as Samet and Mercieka. This would be to put it even. There's contact. Round is going to go. Sheldon Muscat. That's going to put everybody to scatter and go through. Samet keeps the foot pinned and gets the gap through on Adrian Manduka. Suddenly what looked like it was going to be net even on points explodes out now to not just a 2-point lead, but a 3-point lead in the race for 2nd.
Yeah, huge lead. That is at this point of the season, even if it doesn't feel like many points, as we're going to get our first replay of this session in just a couple of moments' time, as Mercieka chases Manduka, Manduka chases Samet, and Samet chases Cassar. We've got not our championship contenders anymore, but those fighting for 2nd place. So some of the quickest drivers in this series, we've got them in the fight.
They're all there. Let's take a look then here at replay for this is how it started. Dean Vella minding his own business. Page looking for his brake mark, misses it, and misses it by a mile there. And for Dean Vella, that's just the story of his season, just run over at every opportunity.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and he'll be happy that he was able to get that victory as Jaden Alul. That scared me a little bit there when I saw De Battista come up on the timing at the bottom, but no, that's Jaden Alul who's gone around. Ryan Karabot with the fastest lap of the race. He's really taking this race by the horns.
Big defensive line then from Sean Cassar. He's going to get his boots out blocking. Almost contact there through Wilson corner as Manduka saw Mercieka there. Jake Samet having to extend out and still can't get there. Contact. De Battista is the one who ends up spinning around then at turn 3. Well, thank goodness it's now and not when he was fighting for it one race earlier. Otherwise, his championship would be up in smoke. Manduka sees the move through. Cassar runs wide. Samet going to get another go at this one here over to Hamilton.
Yeah, he's going to give it a go. They're going to be completely locked in battle. Samet's going to be on the outside, and he will sweep briefly ahead, but Sean Kassar now to the inside will be sending it. Here comes Mikhail Mucheka on the inside of the other championship fighter 4P2. It will be Samet briefly, but he allows Mucheka the space, and that means the 97 has the momentum to keep himself within the fight. Kassar then has a bit more breathing room at the front of this group because the 53 and the 97 have full focus on each other.
Well, how long will that be? Because into the right of Nelson they go, and that's a big mistake over on the AstroTurf, and Samet will go the long way around the bomb hole to get the pass. Murcieka now will move to the inside of Coram Corner just to make that 2 for Sean Kassar's mistakes. Kassar can hold it around the outside, get the inside for Murray's, and now here comes a chop back up and under. Great defensive posture.
Yeah, very good indeed. And there's going to be a spin in the background. Who's that going to be going off? In the background, Paolo Camilleri. Unfortunate right there, as that's the fastest lap for Ryan Carabot. And we're going to get side by side between Kassar and Mucheka into the first corner once again. Kassar holds firm.
So, everyone now jumping up over each other. Brandon Bonello into the party then as he looks for a way up into the top 5, and he's going to fight Adrian Manduka hard for it. Adrian now is going to move through the long left-hander of Palmer Corner, and it's going to have contact. Bang! Both of them come together, and all the gloves coming off now. Both of them will look at each other like we're fighting too hard on the limit there. They're just not leaving each other that extra bit of racing room.
It's not been Manduka's day at all here, has it? He's really struggled with that, keeping it on the straight and narrow. There has been a couple of fights that he's had, as we're going to get another replay in just a couple of moments' time. There we go. Muscat in that number 14 is going to be chasing him behind. There's a big send from Sean Kassar, and there is the contact. Muscat left with nowhere to go, and unfortunately he's been spun around in that mid-group, and that's why we see him out of the race. It's the secondary contact, and that is where he loses his left front tyre.
Yep, a big old disaster is the way that it goes. Car 7, which is George Page, moderate responsibility, ends up with 15 seconds worth of penalty. We know that car 4 has got 5 seconds, that's Ilan Dimek. And the penalty outcome then of what happened between the 24 and the 1 is that car 24, which is Sean Kassar here in 4th position, will have 5 seconds of time penalty added on at the end of the race. And there's been so much that's gone on here over the course of this one that it feels like we've been racing for half an hour, how aggressive it's been. We've only done 7.5 minutes.
Yeah, which means that we've got another 7.5 minutes to go, which is great to see in this final round of the season. We don't want it over just yet. And Mucheka and Kassar are making sure that we are seeing battles on track right to the very death of it. They went at it into the last braking zone, didn't quite get it done. And Mucheka holds on to that 3rd place now. Kassar really keen to stay in. What happened to Jaden Alul earlier in the race? That was too much curbing for the number 21. It unsettled the car, and from then it was just an issue where he couldn't get his car back going, and that's what saw the 21 out of the race.
Caruana and Page now racing for 6th and 7th places here, with the buoyedness of George Page picking up his first point in the opening heat. He's now up into 6th, and knowing that he has got a lot that he can be very happy about. It's Carabot, Samet, Murcieka, Kassar. Then it's Page and Caruana, 6th and 7th, with De Battista in that 7th place, looking around with 8th belonging right now. Oh, it's just changed, Manduka and Bonello. So another little replay here, bottom of your screen. That is the contact between De Battista then and who he was racing with just in front. That's the margin that we're talking about here. Tough to deal with, but you've got to know where your front tyres are.
You really do. It's all about that awareness, and that's why this series really has been great to watch, because it is drivers who are usually so very aware. All of these drivers are going to be continuing to learn and develop their racecraft on the first season of this iRacing series, and they will continue it on to the next few, I'm sure. Craig Caruana looking to the outside of Page, can't quite pick it up. the number 7 here, looking for that position, looking to hold station. Caruana wants to pick it back up. He's had the pace so far this season. They'll head through the first braking zone of the lap, and Page holds firm.
Well, Craig Caruana will know that he's going to have to work hard here to get this pass done. He knows how much he's got to try and maximise the circuit. Well, there's maximising the circuit, and then there's doing that over at turn 3, and you can't afford to do that too many times or you start racking up the instant points.
Yeah, you don't want to do that because you want to keep it on the road as much as you can. There's going to be a replay of what happened to Brandon Bonello at the bottom of your screens, and we're going to see as he goes around the outside, tries to stick it, and there was a little bit of contact between him and Manduka ahead. Manduka had the spin, Bonello was connected, so I think that one there might well just be a racing incident.
I'm not sure about that. It depends on how much room you're given, and if you lose the car length on the outside, I think it's Bonello's responsibility to lift out of it there. And he was just trying to pin the foot in and say, look, I'm still there. Oh, straight on goes Sean Cassar and has to abandon ship, take the slowdown penalty, and very early to know I'm not making the corner. It's just enough to avoid that massive anti-cut curb there at Nelson, which is there also to get through. But now, look at this, 2 tyres and 4 tyres in the grass at Coram Corner. Craig Caruana, where are you going? That's autocross spec.
That certainly is. That was off of the road and somehow managed to keep the F4 car, which usually struggles so much with that sort of thing, on the straight and narrow. Sean Cassar, I think, has got a slowdown, so he's had to go down behind Caruana and Page. We'll be watching on with these two as they fight it out for his position, which was 4th place. There is going to be 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in this one, and these two are going to fight it all the way down to the death. Brandon Bonello is going to be down in 8th place now, and this is going to be another view of that same incident we watched on board with Brandon Bonello last time. And yeah, I mean, that's a difficult one.
It's a tough old hit between the pair of them. I'm sure there's a little bit of net code in that as well, which has forced the violence of that spin to go around, because I'm sure in the real world it wouldn't just snap away that quickly. But they know there's still battles to be had and points to be won and positions to be gained here. Caruana still fighting George Page. You've still got Ryan Carabot leading this race. 2.7 seconds to the good over Jake Samet. The saving grace for Project Aversia, while they're not going to pick the championship up, as Samet goes jumping up over the bumps like it's Acropolis Rally. And Mika Murcieka joins in sympathy there through Williams Corner. It is currently a Project Aversio 1, 2, 3, 4 at this point in time, and they'll be very happy. That's the way that they want the team to finish the season, depending on if Page can hold on to this, and he is soaring away at that steering wheel.
At the moment, holding on to that steering wheel as much as he can and trying to really make the most of it. We get to see Caruana and his steering inputs as he chases in behind Page and runs a little bit wide. He didn't do as much steering as he maybe should have to take the apex, but at the same time, that's because he was trying to find any alternative line, keep the pressure on Page towards the end of this race. Page had a little bit of a falter. He went out onto the grass, but has managed to get back on the straight and narrow, and this is Cassar really just trying to close in on these two. This is Caruana going to the outside line. Is he able to make his way through? Not yet, but time is ticking for George Page.
2 laps to go, and so Caruana threw one for the inside, never got close enough to go and make that movement. Very much a case of, you're not going to get it like that. You're going to have to be a little bit cleverer than that if you want to go and get that move. And there's the concern of who's turning up behind in the final couple of laps here, Joseph, in the forms of Sean Cassar and Aaron De Battista.
Yes, it is going to be interesting between these drivers towards the end of this race, of course, with those two fighting it out. The number 1 fighting his way back, Sean Cassar, sitting in 6th place at the moment. He's not close enough to Caruana and Page to make a fight for 4th place, but of course, if they trip over each other, that'll open the door. Caruana 2 tenths off of the back of Page. We've got just over 1 minute to go on the timer, and Ryan Carabot could be coming home for a very well-deserved victory.
And it would be his first victory. He's been talking about trying to put the building blocks together. Craig Caruana now over to the left-hand side. Looks for a way to go and make this move and sweep down in, but it's covered lovely on that outside, turned inside there from George Pudge, but again, he has to cover over for the bomb hole here. This fast right-hander taking at 165 kilometers an hour over to Coram. Caruana's tried the inside once. Now he's going to go the opposite way here. Try and make the outside sing to his tune. Gets to the inside here. Is there enough room? Just about. And the extension of the circuit by George Pudge, enough to hold it steady, but with a lap left in this race, Joseph. Hello, my name is Sean Cassar, and I'm on the back of both of you.
He is, and he's really looking to pressure. Don't forget our now champion, Aaron De Battista, is going to be just 7/10 off the back of Cassar. Caruana is going to throw up a defensive shape into the first braking zone of the lap to stay ahead of Sean Cassar. De Battista is only going to be 6/10 off the back of this group. This is not done. There's not much time left for them to make fights. There's not much time left for them to make moves, but at the moment Ryan Carabot leads the way, and he's got a gap of 2.3 ahead of Jake Samet, who looks like he's going to come home for second in the championship.
Little bit wide, and that will cost then and force defensiveness into Hamilton corner. If Caruana gets the run, he'll have a look at Oggies, and there's the dive down the inside exactly like he did with Samet in race 1, and this time doesn't make contact with the white Project Traverso car on the outside. Lesson learned. Now heading to Williams, but it's left him vulnerable now to Cassar and to De Battista along this main straight, this main back straight here of the Bentley. And now, how continental is this pass going to be? Over into Brundle and now Nelson corner. 1, 2, 3, 4 in line. They're going to need a little bit of help to get it done. Rounding Coram in towards now Murray's for the final time. This guy is never too far away from a race win, and it wouldn't be a series of multi-sim racing without this guy winning. Ryan Carabot gets the finale sorted. Samet confirmed second in the championship. Murcieka is third. It will be a race to the line for fourth, where George Pudge will take it for 4 of those show cars in a row.
Yeah, what a fight at the end of the season. I said that I thought there was going to be more passes. There weren't in the end, but they got very close, and one more lap and De Battista would have certainly been hassling Sean Cassar on, as he had done all race long. Brandon Manello will come home in 8th place and Adrian Manduca in 9th, with Paolo Camilleri, after his incident earlier on, doing well to end up in the top 10. Dean Vella will be our final finisher, as we had 4 drivers in the pit lane, all registered as out of this race. Not a great day for Ilan Dimesh Gershi or for Denzel Agius or Jaden Alul. In fact, I believe all of them doubled the NFs, but we still had 11 drivers finishing our final round of the season, or 10, with Dean Vella becoming the 11th in just a couple of moments' time, and we still had plenty of action out there on the circuit. It's one of those where the championship comes to an end, and it's bittersweet because it's all been decided, it's all been worked out, but yet we still feel as though there's still more racing to come.
Oh, there very much is, and it never stops, and there'll be more seasons, more championships, and these drivers will be fighting with everything that they've got, and then some. They've got national championships in about 5 weeks, 6 weeks' time, so they'll be gearing themselves up for that over the race for 15,000 euros there. Ryan Carabot getting the job done and winning by 2.4 seconds over Jake Samet, with Mikael Murcieka in third, confirming third in the championship, second in the championship for Jake Samet. Carabot getting fourth in the championship there with that result. George Pudge then fifth over or fourth there over the line, and would look at Craig Caruana, held him back there in fifth. Sean Cassar is sixth, ahead of your champion Aaron De Battista, with Brandon Bonello 8th, Adrian Manduca 9th, and Paolo Camilleri getting a top 10 to finish the season off.
Yeah, top 10 in the end for those drives. And of course, as I say, we had 11 finishers. Sheldon Muscat not finishing, Dean Vella the final one to do so. Nor did Jaden Alul, Ilan Dimesh Gershi or Denzel Agius, who rounded out our 15 cars.
Wow, what a moment we have seen over the course of racing. We will wait for drivers to get themselves ready and sorted to go by. In the meantime, though, we will chat over to the driver who picked up the win over in race. No, well, we'll go first to your champion-elect. We'll get to Dean in a moment. So we'll get Aaron De Battista in first and foremost here, right and ready. Aaron, critically, It is a championship, and it's one that was rounded off a race early. You get the sweeping move past Jake Sammet. It's carnage behind you, and you realise, I've just got to focus on the gap.
Yes, I think I wasn't happy with the qualifying. If I'm completely honest, I think everyone wants to start in front of their championship rival, obviously. I think I focused on the start, and the crucial move was done in passing Craig. I mean Sean. I'm sorry, Jake. And then Craig did a mistake, and I obviously had to send it. And obviously, I knew that there was gonna be a bit of a gap, obviously. So I just went on to catch up with Dean and try to take the win. But I missed out by a couple of tenths. Not couple, I think 1/10 or 2/10. But yes, overall, I think it was a fantastic season. I think it was. I got like P2 and P4 3 times, which was. I think it showed the consistency that I had. So yes, I think I'm happy with how I came to this championship.
You can be incredibly happy and incredibly proud of the work that you've done, and it's through the feature races that we saw it then 2 firsts, 2 seconds over the course of the season, building that momentum up there, and you had your chance to basically take your freedom and fight in that sprint race to go about, but ultimately for you, a little bit of contact at turn 3 put back any hopes of getting a big result in that final race of the season.
Yes, obviously in the sprint race I was a bit more relaxed. I knew that I have had the championship sorted out, so I tried to obviously get more points, because obviously at the end of the day I don't race for the championship only, I just race as well to get the best position. So yeah, overall I think it was a small incident, which I think obviously it was an incident which I had nothing to do. Obviously they were fighting. He didn't see me. It's a normal incident. I don't blame the driver for the incident, but nonetheless, I think it was also a good recovery as well, because I think I'm P5 with penalties now, which also rounds out the evening in a nice fashion as well.
Critically, with this championship, I would argue now you are form favourite for the national championship starting in August. How are you feeling, and how are the preparations going for that?
Well, obviously, there's not much celebrations. I mean, you have to focus now on the upcoming championship. I also intend to join the GT3 one as well, other than the 4, so it's going to be 2 in 1. So yeah, I think it's nice to enjoy it, and then obviously we need to fight for the number 1 now. Because last year I won the F4, and now it's a course of can I hold the championship spot, so. It's going to be nice. There's a nice prize pool as well, so yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
The F4 national champion and winner here once again, Aaron De Battista, takes the title and does so with some wonderful aplomb. The winner of the race overall ended up being Dean Vella. He stood by with Joseph Black.
Yeah, Dean, of course, it's been a very interesting season indeed from your perspective, but of course it was great to get it over the line in the final race, or the penultimate race even of the season. Just how did it feel taking that win in the feature?
This was good, definitely something I was looking forward to all season. Had some chances in the beginning for sure, but they didn't really go my way, so it's good to finally have a win at the end. Still, at the end of the day, there's room for improvement. I think pace and consistency could be better, but I'm still happy with the win at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good one for yourself. I mean, across the season as a whole, how has it been to adapt to the iRacing game?
With iRacing, I've always been on and off. To be honest, I was. ACC was my main for a long time, so it's still taking some time, to be honest. I think when it comes to one lap pace, I've gotten used to it, but in regards to maintaining race pace on the sim, I'm still honestly there's still room to push myself, so there's a bit more to improve for sure.
Yeah, we will always see there is always improvement to be made. The national championship coming up soon. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, excited to be honest. I missed last year's because I was in a bit of a sabbatical, but yeah, I'm excited to just get into it again with the qualifiers starting right now. So yeah, just honestly, just excited to get into the racing again. If I win or not, that's not for me to decide, but I'm sure it will be fun.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be fun indeed, and it was good fun watching you racing across the course of the season. Have you got anybody to thank before we let you go?
Obviously, I want to thank the whole team, so Intercomp VMD SimSport. I want to congratulate Aaron as well for his championship win. I want to thank, of course, the support of my teammates, girlfriend, and family, of course, as always. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And of course, Velocity for the organization as well.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Dean, and congratulations on that race victory in number one. We look forward to seeing you in the championship in a couple of months' time. But for now, thank you very much. Next up is going to be Jake S with Jake S, as Jake Sperry is with Jake Samet.
Wow, what a day we have been setting ourselves up with. And Jake, you walked into today with the third of fourth best odds to go and pick up the championship, and obviously your qualifying certainly put you best place for that. But the moment that you ended up in that contact with Craig Caruana, I think was the moment that the door opened up and the gap was just a little bit too large for you.
Yeah, that's what really happened. Unfortunately, nothing I could have done there. Really unfortunate, but I'm not entirely happy. No one likes to finish in second place in a championship. Overall, I'm quite happy to see from where I came, at the point being seventh on the standings, fighting all the way till the end. The mentality going into this was, if I was going to lose, I was going to lose like Max Verstappen in 2025. I wanted to fight till the end, but unfortunately, inter-team tactics from the other team cost us the chance to fight for this championship. Not happy about it.
And how difficult is it dealing with a championship like this, where there are two giant teams going at it against each other, encompassing the entire grid? You have to look down, and everyone is basically a pawn in this massive game of chess by the looks of it.
Yeah, it is. From my end, from our end, we can say we've got, I'm going to put it like this, in our team, we've got an ego problem. Everyone wants to beat each other. So imagine how much wants to ultimately win the whole damn thing. But it's not the same for the other team, clearly. But yeah, we don't have any team politics. Everybody drives for themselves. But yeah, that's the game.
And in terms of driving for yourself now, the mind and the focus will shift now to national championships, which will be in play in about 6 weeks' time. How much thought have you put into that and trying to pick up the opportunity to represent either in GT3 or in F4?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm still thinking about it. It was a long championship. Before this one, we also had another one. So you can say it was... these were a long 12 weeks competing, grinding, starving for the best. Right now, I'm going to take a small break and think about the national championships later.
I think that's a very wise decision, but a very strong second place in the championship, and very admirable the way you've driven this season. Jake Samet then getting that second place and confirming it in the final race of the season. But we now move our attention, Joseph, to what will be coming up next here, because with Velocity Esports Race, we've had some amazing action out there, but that next for many is going to try and be, how do I stand up to a driver like Aaron De Battista, 2025 F4 national champion, winning this championship through the level of consistency that he's got? I think you got to be better than consistent if you want to challenge him over 5 rounds.
You do, and I mean, his strength has been the consistency, so it's about having to try and match up with him, all about that. And I mean, we've seen pace potentially being the same, if not better, from Samilton Macheka, but it was just about the ruthless consistency that De Bautista had, and that is what takes you over the line. Pace will win you a race, but the consistency will win you a championship.
And that consistency has been key on a show that is brought to you here today in collaboration with, of course, your title sponsor, SIMAGIC, Motors Inc., Intercomp, Monster Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and The Specialist. From Christian Deploy, who has been directing, from the wonderful stewarding team of Marvin Bear and Maximilian Fritz, from Joseph Black alongside me, my name is Jake Sperry. A championship that finds itself to conclusion, and the odds-on favourite walking in walks out with the title. Form book applied and deserved in terms of result that we have seen. But there are still many pitfalls that will come along over the course of the next few months to decide who is ultimate champion of Malta. But here with Velocity Esports Racing, your SIMAGIC F4 Series champion is Aaron De Bautista, and he knows that he walks on song as King of Malta for the moment, and he will know how critical it is to keep the momentum going.